Hello! It's episode 100 of Levels Plus Whenever. And we're finally doing it. We're finally knocking out the rest of this top 40 wish list for Smash content that I have concocted for myself. I'm not going to get into the depths that I did with the 5 pre-existing videos, but I am going to just touch on why I thought the character would be cool. And I just felt like, knocking out something like this is a great episode to have like a milestone for. Primarily because I feel that Smash has been an important part of this channel's legacy. I bet 15 to 20 episodes of it have talked about Smash in some way. So it just kind of made sense to me to wrap up this topic of characters I'd love to see in Smash for the 100th episode. So without further ado, let's just do a quick recap of the 5 we already covered. So Lynn was first. Then we had Joanna from Perfect Dark. Then we had Chun-Li from Street Fighter. We brought in Mike Jones. And then we had Lash from Advance Wars. Those were the 5 I actually got the chance to write more explicit movesets for. I've organized the rest by company. So we'll go through Nintendo's first. And then it's by order of appearance. So Konami will be next because they had the first third-party character in Smash. And it will follow that type of order. And then once we get out of companies that have appeared in Smash with a playable character, it's just a little bit more random. So, for Nintendo, who else would I want to see in Smash? How about Akari Hayami from 1080 Snowboarding, as well as including elements from her Wave Race Blue Storm appearance? Tara Strong is going to be along for the ride as an alternate skin. That's why she's hiding in the corner. I never got to do any of the ones where I hit other characters. So why Akari? Well, she would represent Nintendo sports that haven't really been acknowledged super well in Smash. There's been Wii Sports. There's been a little bit of, like with Peach's Smash moves, but ultimately, there hasn't been a really super sporty character. I think Akari would fill that gap. And I really like her 1080 Avalanche design. And I think that she could do some neat stuff with a jet ski and a snowboard. That's basically why I picked her. Impa will be a new Legend of Zelda character that's not named Link. Can you believe, since Smash Bros. Melee, there has not been a new Zelda character not named Link? It's a little astounding to think about. I would have Impa use her Hyrule Warriors design, which is why that's represented here. And she would switch between the giant knife and her Naginata. So she would have a pretty diverse moveset. And I think she's a lot of fun in Hyrule Warriors and would translate really well into a Smash game. Plus, she's probably the most prominent Zelda character that's not the main 3. She's been in the most games. Kachi from Sin and Punishment Star Successor, and technically the first game, since she's also Achi. So she's a bit of a villainous character, but, I think that wouldn't really show except maybe in a final Smash move. But Sin and Punishment has such unique control and mechanics. And Saki was an assist trophy for 2 games. I think having a proper playable character would be fun. Kachi would have her hoverboard, so she would have some interesting air mobility that other characters might not have. She'd be able to switch between melee and distance pretty quickly. And I think she'd be a really solid addition. Plus, I think she's just a sick design. Mach Rider That's right. I took this Melee trophy and I gave it the colors of Versus Mach Rider. Just for this video thing that I was going to do. And this was very deliberate because I want it to be Versus Mach Rider because I want it to be a woman. Because that is what is heavily implied. And I think it would be a nice change of pace to have a woman in an outfit like this in a game. Especially given Nintendo's early history. But I think Mach Rider's bike could be used in very interesting ways to enhance her moveset. She can use it if she dashes, for example, and then it disassembles on her back or something. I kind of see her being like a centurion in a way, where she could just connect parts of the bike to her body as needed to fight. And I think she'd be a really sick idea. Medusa would be the fourth Kid Icarus rep. The most appropriate, in my opinion. She's got the legacy of being the villain. She's the Ganondorf to Pit's Link. However that works. But I think between her original appearance in the NES game as well as in Uprising, she would have a lot of potential in terms of her magic and being able to do some really interesting, unique stuff to her that would make her like a Palutena clone. And we need more women villains on the roster. So here we go. Mio will join in, but the way that Xenoblade 3 works, you can give the weapon to other characters and they will act the same way. So technically, we're going to have all 6 main characters from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 as playable. They're just all going to play like Mio. And then she would probably have a couple alternates for herself. I really need to get back into Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That is becoming a recurring theme in my videos, and I apologize. That's another summer game I want to get to. But I just think she's a really sick design. I really like playing as her and what I have played so far. And the fact that you get to throw in all the other characters is a nice bonus. So I think she makes a lot of sense to represent the 3rd Xenoblade Chronicles game. Marina and Pearl. So this was probably going to be the next Nintendo character I was going to write about. But I didn't write about them. But there's so much more potential in Splatoon weaponry that we didn't get with Inkling that could have just gone to generic Octoling, but that's boring. So I wanted to include my favorite duo in Splatoon as a playable character. Pearl will be support in the drone form from Side Order, and Marina will be the main character. And she'll have a bunch of different weapons that she'll be using. Like, she'll use the Octo Brush versus the Roller. But she'll use it in a different way than the Rollers use. So it's just going to be similar but different. And Marina rules. Pearl rules. They're great. I love them. They're off the hook. Pauline from Super Mario Odyssey / Donkey Kong. I just think Pauline has had such a wonderful renaissance that it's her turn in the spotlight. The last major Nintendo woman from Mario, outside of Toadette, to make the jump. And I think she could have a really fun moveset around music. Have her doing some dancing and have her playing some instruments and using notes in a way that makes her really dynamic and interesting. I think she could be a lot of fun. Plus, we'd get a great remixed version of Jump Up Superstar. Ravenbeak from Metroid Dread. Continuing the Metroid love that we really got a whole bunch of in Ultimate. I think Ravenbeak would be a very excellent addition to the roster. He would be tall, he'd be menacing, he'd have really powerful moves, but I think that we could counteract that by his height being such a factor that he can't really dodge anything very well. But I think he was a great addition to Dread, even though he's clearly done. And I think he could have a really, really cool moveset. Alright, Pokemon's not my thing. It is absolutely not my thing. But you know what is my thing? Meowth. And I've wanted Meowth in Smash as a playable character forever. And what better way to do it than with Team Rocket supporting Meowth? So Meowth is going to be forced by Team Rocket to fight. And we'll also throw in Coughing and Ekans. And it's like Pokemon Trainer, but with those three instead. But Meowth is clearly the prominent one. It's going to be a great visual, just having Team Rocket running around in the background. Trust me, this is what we deserve. Twinelle. Since her arms are her hair, she would have a little bit of a different mobility set than Min Min. Because she'd be able to do stuff with her hands on top of her arms. So she would be able to hold stuff and still use her arms to attack, which is something Min Min cannot quite do the same way. She'd also have different arms equipped, so she wouldn't be a one-to-one Echo Fighter to Min Min. She would be her own thing. Plus, she's got a very unique vibe and style that I think would make her stand out from her counterpart in the series. Zale from the last story. I have a moveset in mind for him. I'll just run through it quickly. He utilizes his friends. So he can summon his friends to cast magic circles on the ground, and then those will enhance his moves if he runs through them or attacks them with certain moves. So he would have his forward slash as well as his upward run up the wall, but there is no wall, but we'll pretend there's a wall. Downward slash, and he'd also have his crossbow. He could shoot bananas. It's just going to be a good time. I really like Zale anyway. I think the last story is brilliant and deserves a rep in Smash. That's the end of the Nintendo characters. So we'll jump into Konami and Soma Cruz and Shanoa as an alternative costume. And arguably I could do Alucard, but he's already an assist, and I feel like Alucard doesn't quite connect the way these two do. So the big gimmick about Soma, and to a lesser extent Shanoa, is they can take in powers from other things. They come about it their own ways, but they both have the same ability. So one of the things I was thinking that would make Soma stand out from Alucard if he were to join is that he can take the powers of the enemies he defeats and incorporate them into his moveset, which Shanoa would also be able to do. Plus, he's got so many souls already that he's got that would make a great special / final Smash set, as well as Smash attacks with a wide range of weaponry. He just makes the most sense. Plus, he's my favorite Castlevania character. Sorry, Alucard fans. Twinbee. Probably didn't see this one coming. Twinbee would have Winbee and Gwynbee as well. So you get 3 character skins plus different colors. But they're going to represent the vast army of shoot-em-ups that Konami and Hudson have made over the years in terms of the soundtrack. Plus, shoot-em-ups make sense to represent. They're a great character that's actually been beyond shoot-em-ups. They've had a platformer, Rainbow Bell Adventure, if I remember right. And their bell mechanic could make them really interesting in terms of how their attacks could play out. So I just think that they would be fun. And of course, Bomberman will get a chance to be promoted from an assist trophy to a full-on character. And I didn't throw them all in here, but yes, pretty much all of the Super Bomberman are alternates, would be alternates. Because I have no choice. But Bomberman would be fun. He would be a very explosive character for sure. And would cause a lot of chaos with bombs that could hurt him as much as anyone else. Sega is next, and Els from Phantasy Star is going to be a great retro pick that represents another iconic role-playing franchise. She was the original heroine and one of the first women to lead a role-playing game, so she's got that historical significance. But she's also sci-fi, and she does things a little bit differently than our Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade characters. Well, Xenoblade's arguable, but... and I just think it would be great to have her along for the ride in Smash because she's a legacy character that deserves the notice. I had to pick Vice. Skies of Arcadia is one of my favorite games. I had to pick Vice. He's on the GameCube. He would be perfect. I have a moveset for him. It's perfectly tied to most of his specials. His specials are great specials. His final smash could be Pirate's Wrath, or possibly a team up with the other, with Ica and Fina, or a fight against Piastol. I could see the future with Vice so clearly. I would love it if he was in this game. He could also change the element of his scimitar to make it a little bit more diverse in terms of what he can do on the stage. I want Vice in this game so bad. Capcom. We were so close to Resident Evil. We got Spirits. We're moving beyond Spirits. We're getting Jill Valentine, the original heroine. Claire's coming along too. I thought about possibly throwing in even more women from the series because we have Rebecca and Shiva and Helena and Ada and more. But I really feel like it makes the most sense to have it just be Jill and Claire because they have enough alternate outfits themselves that they could have RE1 Jill, RE3 Remake Jill, RE Revolutions Jill, and like RE5 Lost in Nightmares Jill, which those two are not too dissimilar, but they're different enough. And then Claire, we could have RE2 Remake Claire, we could have RE2 Claire, we could have Elsa Walker if we really wanted to be clever and funny. We could have Code Veronica Claire, we could have Revelations 2 Claire. There's lots of options, and I think all of them would be a lot of fun. So they have a wide array of weapons. We don't even have to necessarily use guns. We've got enough with knives and weird stuff. They probably would have guns, though. But I think Jill's moveset from MVC2 could translate pretty nicely into Smash, having her summon some of the baddies, and maybe have Tyrant show up or Nemesis as the final Smash, and Mr. X for Claire. So I think it would be fun. I think they'd be great to add. Phoenix, Wright, and many other Ace Attorney characters. I think the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Phoenix was a brilliant idea, and I think it could translate really nicely into Smash. All of these characters have supports that they could pull out. So, like, Phoenix has Maya, Apollo could have Trucy, Edgeworth could have Gumshoe, Francisca would probably also have Gumshoe, or we could throw Larry in there just for giggles. I don't know much about Great Ace Attorney, and Athena could probably have her friend jump in. I forget her friend's name, but the one who's really shy around Apollo. There's a lot of potential for a Ace Attorney character, and I think they would be a lot of fun to bring into the world of Smash. Strider Hiryu, my second arguably favorite male video game character. I think Strider Hiryu is so awesome, and I would love it if he was in Smash. He would translate from his MVC moveset so well. I really think he would be something special. And he could do all kinds of stuff with his cyborg animals. We could give him the shuriken from Strider 2014. He's got so many different slash moves, teleportation. Sky's the limit. I know that's Vice's tagline, but really there's so much we could do with Strider. Bandai Namco. We'll start with Nightmare from Soul Calibur. My favorite Soul Calibur character, one of my favorite villains in all of games. Sick design. Has a moveset that I think would be very intimidating because he's got such a wide range. He's just a little slow, but he could change stances like he does in the original game. He'd have his big stomp, he'd have his super slashes, and he'd have really cool final smash that we could take directly from 6. I just think Nightmare is the best Soul Calibur character without question and makes the most sense for Smash. Valkyrie from The Legend of Valkyrie slash Valkyrie no, forgetting the name of it, Boku, I think. I'll throw it somewhere. I think Valkyrie would be a lot of fun. She's one of Namco's earliest women protagonists and one of the Famicom's earliest women protagonists, beating Samus by 1 day. And I think she would be a lot of fun. She's got a lot of potential in a moveset to have a little bit of magic involved. We can give her a little bit of Captain America vibes with her shield. She's got some silliness as well, like she could grow in size and like do silly stomps and stuff like that. I think that it would be great to have Valkyrie be a part of the Smash universe. Square Enix, and of course I'm throwing Tifa in here. I hate to drown out every other Final Fantasy game. There's 15 other numbered Final Fantasy games, not counting spin-offs like Tactics. Tifa makes the most sense. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy VII is so powerful. They have the best roster of the series, in my opinion. Cloud Sephiroth makes sense. Tifa is the character you would pick next. I don't think you can argue that. You can maybe argue Terra from 6. But I don't think that argument would win over Tifa. Tifa is too powerful. And her fisticuffs, somewhat random, like roulette, could make for a very interesting moveset. And we could also maybe do stuff with Materia to make her change up stuff. I think she'd be awesome. But who would be more awesome is Chrono from Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger, my second favorite game of all time. Chrono, wonderful Kira Toriyama design. Even if you could argue that it's not that different from most others, I don't care. I think it's his best work. And Chrono has a great set of skills that would translate well to special moves as well as his standard moveset. And we can have him do team-ups for Final Smashes. And we could make it a whole variety of them if we wanted to. There's 6 buddies that we can do team-ups with. So add in the lightning magic, add in the Epoch possibly coming in. There's just so much greatness with Chrono that I just would love to see him in Smash. Taito is owned by Square Enix at this stage of its life, and I want some Taito representation in Smash. And I went with Sayo-chan from Kiki Kakai, aka Pocky from Pocky and Rocky. And yes, you can see, I want to say it's Hinabe, but Rocky hanging out in the bottom, because yes, he'll be playable as well. Sayo-chan just got a lot of potential, especially with Reshrined adding quite a few new tricks to her toolkit. And I want Zuntata music in Smash, more than just the composer that happens to be there. I want to have the wide breadth of Zuntata Taito music accessible in Smash at the level of SNK. 50 tracks of Taito music coming along with Sayo-chan, and a Taito Legend stage that incorporates like 10 of their most popular franchises like Space Invaders, Darius, Elevator Action, Kiki Kakai, of course. Ninja Warriors, just a really cool, sick stage that would just not just be limited to Kiki Kakai, but just really encompassing all of Taito. I would be so happy. SNK, I limited to one character. I could have picked many, but I'm going to pick my favorite SNK male character, and that's Iori. I think that he is just sick. He has a lot of costume potential. He could go Orochi if we really wanted to do that and give him an even spicier moveset. We could do some interesting stuff with his gauge if we wanted to. Like, he could burn some of his life maybe to get a super special move. A little bit different than how Terry works. Iori is one of King of Fighters' greatest contributions, and in my opinion, he's one of their best characters. I would have gone with like Leona, but Leona doesn't have quite the clout that Iori does. If it's not Iori, it'd be Kyo, but I just don't think Kyo's as interesting. So, Iori it is. And now, since we did Joanna already, we're moving on into other third parties and indie developers. And the very first one that leapt to mind was Arc System Works owns the rights to Technos. And beat-em-ups haven't really been represented in Smash yet. And who better to represent them than Kunio-kun? And I would go full-on River City Girls with this and have Kunio and Riki and Masako and Kyoko and Marion and Pruvi, along with Billy and Jimmy Lee, who are joining River City Girls 2. Did not know that when I did this slide that they were going to be DLC, because I did these slides probably a year and a half ago. That's why their art is so drastically different. But it would be the River City Girls 2 look, and it would be great. I think that they have the diversity of movesets, and I think it would be kind of neat to kind of give them the Double Dragon 1 Famicom approach, maybe, and have them unlock more moves as they take damage. I don't know. Something interesting that could come up with their moveset to kind of reflect their learn-as-you-go mentality. Sunsoft has been around a long time too, and I think that Jason from Blaster Master, or I forget his Japanese name, like Rand or something like that, would be a very great choice. And I want it to be the Blaster Master Zero design because I think it's very sick and has much more options for Jason in terms of up close. And we could probably pull in Sophia the Tank as a final smash, or even possibly in some of the specials. But Jason's an iconic character from the NES and had a great renaissance in the new trilogy by NT Creates, so I think his new look would make a great fit for Smash. Now this is what you probably did not see coming, and there's not a great art of her in her normal form that's original to the game. I don't want to throw her box art from Guardian Legend, or Gardigaden, I should say, on here. So I grabbed her sprite. Maria from the Guardian Legend, to another shoot-'em-up representative from Compile, one of the true greats of the genre, who gave us this action-adventure / shoot-'em-up hybrid on the NES with a really cool, sick character that could flip from being an android into a spaceship. Imagine that as a moveset, and that's why she's here, because I think she'd be really, really cool. Shell from Portal. She doesn't really fight in Portal, but I think she could do some interesting stuff with the portal gun to kind of make that happen. Just having turrets show up, for example, or GLaDOS being helpful. You know, I think that she could have a very unique moveset, and could do some really fascinating stuff with the portal gun. So yeah, plus I really like Portal. I just think Portal's cool. Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight makes a lot of sense, doesn't he? He was an assist trophy. He's getting promoted. And we're also going to have body swap Shovel Knight, so you could play as the woman version as well. Shovel Knight is just probably the indie character that makes so much sense in so many ways. I have quite a few following them on this list, but just the moveset would be great. There's so many different gadgets that they can pick up, and just an iconic design that would work really well. Zagreus from Hades. Hades actually was one of the last spirits added to the game, well after launch. And with Hades 2 on the horizon and the original being such a prominent Switch exclusive on console for a little while, Zagreus has the moves, he's got the look, he's got the music, he's got the stage potential. He's got it all to be a Smash character, and I think he would be splendid as a fighter in this series. Shantae almost has to be a choice at this stage. She's been teased as a trophy and a spirit. She's had a music track and a Mii costume. Let's just cross the bridge and put her in the game. Let's finally just do it. And I would prefer a Pirate's Curse theme moveset because I think that's more fun. The transformations could be good if it doesn't have the long transition pauses that drove me up the wall when I played Half Genie Hero. But I think that Shantae has very good odds and would be a very fun pick. Plus the music would be sensational. Madeline from Celeste, another early Switch standout indie title. Madeline doesn't really attack, though, and I think that would be on Battlein to provide. Madeline would jump around and move, but I think Battlein would come out and actually do the attacking, which would make sense given how the game works. And, again, sensational music, and the stage almost writes itself, right? So I would love Madeline to be in. Plus, we'd have a great trans representative. SteamWorld has been a very stalwart Nintendo appearing franchise. Practically everything SteamWorld has shown up on the Switch at this stage. And I honestly think that as much as I love Heist the most, I think Dorothy from Dig 2 makes the most sense between her digging skills and the grappling hook and some of the other tools she has. The crew of Heist are awesome, but their ricocheting shots just don't quite capture an entire moveset. I could probably give Dorothy a nod to that as a move, but I think it just makes more sense for her to be the rep, and SteamWorld has a lot of really cool music over the entire history of the franchise. It would be great. That's it. That's all of the 40 characters that I think would be great to add into Smash. And that didn't take as long as I thought it might. I hope that you enjoyed my thoughts on who would be cool additions. 100 episodes down. We've got so many more potential episodes to go. It's going to be fun, as always, doing this wonderful little show. And I appreciate you being along the ride, no matter if you just started with this one or if you've been here since the first. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll see you whenever I see you next. Take care.